You're listening to Inside Content, the TV industry podcast. This show is brought to you by 3Vision, a global TV industry consultancy specialising in content acquisition, strategy, research, and business development. Each episode, we give you VIP access to the views and experiences of senior TV executives and discuss the latest TV industry trends and insights.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Content. I'm Hayley Bull, VP at 3Vision, and today I'm joined by Stefan Van Engen, Head of Content and Partnerships at Xumo. In this conversation, we dig into what's actually working in the fast space right now, from the enduring appeal of classic TV to the dominance of crime, the role of news during major movements, and why sports as shoulder program is becoming a powerful driver of engagement. We also get into discovery and editorial influence, why genre-based house channels became a key part of their strategy, and how distribution partnerships create new entry points for audiences. Enjoy.
Introducing Video Markets Tracker from 3Vision, your go-to source for global TV data. We offer regularly updated regional and global reports covering pay TV, SVOD, AVOD, and FAST across Africa, MENA, the Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Make smarter decisions with insights you can trust. Learn more at 3vision.tv. Now, on to the episode.
Well, hi, Stefan. Thank you for joining us on Inside Content. We're really pleased to have you with us today. Shall we get going by you introducing yourself to our Inside Content listeners?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Stefan Van Engen. I'm the head of content and partnerships here at Xumo. I look over everything that touches our ad-supported content, from lead generation to acquisition to programming, editorial, and distribution across Xumo Play and the ad-supported ecosystem.
Fantastic. Now, for kind of our non-US audiences, perhaps you could explain who Xumo are. And I know they offer kind of multiple media products and services. So it would be really good to understand perhaps all of them and then where you sit.
Yeah, for sure. So Xumo is a joint venture between Comcast and Charter, two of the largest cable companies and internet providers here in the US. We started a long time ago, actually, specifically as a FAST platform. We launched right around the same time as Pluto, actually, all the way back in 2015, 2016. So we've been around doing the FAST ad-supported thing for quite a while. But now, as part of this joint venture, there's sort of three distinct businesses. There's Xumo Play, which is our direct-to-consumer FAST platform and app, which lives both on our own devices, but also on third-party devices such as Roku and Amazon, Samsung televisions, etc. And that is largely US-based, though we do have distribution in Canada as well as the UK via Sky Q and Sky Glass with the Xumo Play app. So that's one side of the business, the direct-to-consumer ad-supported content play. The other piece of the business is our Xumo devices. This includes the Xumo Stream Box, and that is offered through our parent companies, Comcast and Charter. We have a growing list of operators such as Cox, Mediacom, and GCI that also offer this product, and that is an actual device for customers. And part of that device outlay is also Xumo televisions. So we work with OEMs like Sharp and Westinghouse and Element to distribute the Xumo operating system across smart TVs. And both of these products, Xumo smart TVs and the Stream Boxes, are US products. And then the third part of our business is Xumo Enterprise, and this is our most international business. And this is our sort of B2B service for FAST and AVOD content, where we
Mhm.
power over 2,000 channels to 30 different platforms. And the way that came to be was in the very early days of Xumo, we actually built the technology to stitch channels together to create linear, fast, ad supported streams. Um, and then we white labeled all of that technology, both the front end and the back end, for LG televisions.
Yeah.
So when LG Channels first launched, it was actually LG Channels powered by Xumo, and all of the content deals and all of the channels were provided by Xumo. And that business sort of continued even as we started offering our direct to consumer Xumo app. There were others that came on board that said, hey, you have sub licensing rights and the technology, and you've created these channels. This was long before Whirl or Amagi or Terra existed. So we were some of the only ones in the market actually creating linear ad supported streams. And so that business has continued today, and we distribute worldwide for our content partners.
That's really helpful, Stefan. There's a lot in there. So we've got D2C, devices, OS, and then enterprise.
And I'd be sorry to interrupt. I'd be remiss to say that that's all underpinned by our advertising team, right? So all of the supply that's generated across the devices, across the direct to consumer app, and where applicable across our B2B feeds that go out to third party distributors, our advertising team supports all of that supply.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. And you sit within D2C then, Stefan?
So I oversee the D2C Fast app as well
Mhm.
as the enterprise business. Yep.
Okay, fine. And you look after programming for Xumo Play for D2C. Do you also look after device distribution as well
Yeah.
for
For
Xumo
the
Play?
fast channels for the enterprise and for Xumo Play. Yep.
Amazing. Okay, right. So we're going to have a lot to unpick here. Let's start with Xumo Play as an ad-supported service. I think it's probably widely agreed that kind of free ad-supported streaming in the US is kind of the most profitable in terms of territories worldwide. In fact, we've seen that, a lot of channels, fast channels outside of the US are now closing and deciding to focus on the US. So it doesn't mean there isn't a market outside of the US. It's just US is seen as kind of, pivotal. What does your offer look like in the US market, and kind of how are you positioning that compared to the kind of 12 plus other services that you can also find in the territory?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we've been doing this for a very long time. So we have a lot of data on what works and what doesn't work. We also can see what works and what doesn't work through our B2B side, right?
Hmm.
Through the channels that we distribute. And so we're able to really focus on quality over quantity. Now we do have a wide selection. So we have over 400 channels on our D2C app, um, and that spans every genre because we think of ourselves as a living room service, right? So there has to be something for everyone, whether that's sports, news, entertainment, classic television, crime TV, kids, etc. So we do try to make sure we're programming for everyone and that everyone can find something, and then we lean heavily on the product itself for discovery of that content, making sure that people can find something that they want to watch, that they'll
Hmm.
engage in it, and that they'll come back. And I would say that that sort of ethos extends to our device business, which is where the Xumo device really came, making it simple for people to continue watching. And while I don't oversee the device side as much, that ethos of, is there something here? Can I get a customer to content that they want to watch on the device side, whether that's SVOD, AVOD, linear channels, pay channels, like free channels? It's really about connecting customers to something they want to watch as quickly as possible, getting them engaged in the platform, and making the platform easy to use. And we've sort of started that on the fast side as well, making it easy to use. Free was the first thing, right?
Yeah.
No sign up, no emails, just you're right into the content. And so the programming has to support the quality of that experience.
And what kind of, you mentioned you've got kind of a vast range of content in there, so you kind of you're servicing all of your audience, and I think you've probably got a good mix of genre, kind of single IP. What's obviously you get lots of data. What's generally working for you, and kind of what works really well?
Yeah. So it's a mix, and it does depend on the audience segment.
Yeah.
Um, there's been a lot said and a lot written about nostalgic TV and classic TV, and we do see that that continues to support a wide audience. Um, the genre that most often gets talked about in the fast space is the crime genre. I don't know.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to know how to murder their husband, I guess. So uh, but we do see that also working really, really well. But then you have things like the news category, especially during election periods or currently with the political environment and the different activity there. You see that people are really turning to these
Right.
services for their information. So it really is a mix of information and entertainment.
Mm.
Uh, and I would say the growing category is sports.
Yeah.
So and part of that is um, the sports landscape is very hard to navigate in the US. You have you know, live events on cable television. You have events on different streaming platforms. It's hard it's hard sometimes to figure out where all of that's going to be placed. And while Fast doesn't necessarily compete in the top tier licensing of live events,
Mm.
there is this sort of shoulder programming and consistency of programming that can keep the sports fan engaged. And so we have channels from the leagues direct, things like NFL channel and the NBA channel and the PGA Tour channel that all sort of are able to continue to talk about the game outside of the game and sort of scratches an itch. And it's free and all in one place.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a combination of kind of live sports, but also kind of the fandom around those sports to keep them engaged in between kind of live events.
That's right.
Yeah. And what about kind of creator-led content? That's a theme that we're seeing more and more. Is that something that kind of you've discovered at Xumo Play or you're thinking about?
We have had creator channels for a very long time, back to
Yeah.
the MCN days of YouTube, actually. Um,
That's a blast from
and
the past. I haven't heard that
yeah, yeah,
name for a while.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so we have dabbled in that. On our platform, we have not found the connection between that mass audience and these creator channels. Some of it
Yeah.
is discovery, right? Some of it
Mhm.
is if you're a creator fan or you're a fan of this influencer, to find them on the platform that you found them on, that you're following them on, that you're subscribed to, that you're liking and engaging with. And
Yeah.
so as a lean back experience, it's a little bit harder to drive general interests in those
Right.
channels. Some of the other platforms obviously have taken a different tact where they're
Yeah.
investing in originals with influencers and trying to bring that audience into the platform for different content.
Mm.
We have not gone down that road yet. We think of ourselves as really the aggregators of the best content out there. And some of that could be influencer and creator content. We still have some of those channels on our platform, but we're not heavily today invested in individual influencers.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Best of the best. I guess sometimes that comes from third-party channels, and sometimes that leads you to create your own channels. And I think about 20 of the kind of 400 are owned and operated channels by Xumo. Could you just talk to us a bit about your strategy there? And to me, you've got kind of a vast amount of O&O channels in terms of covering genres from kids to movies to kind of westerns. How have you tackled that?
Yeah, that really grew out of necessity. We had a lot of
Okay.
content partners that did not want their own channel, that
Okay.
really just had content that that they wanted in an ad-supported environment, but without their own owned and operated channel. And so we built these genre channels to help our licensing business with the movie studios and with individual distributors that didn't necessarily have either enough content or the need for a branded linear experience. And on Zumo, the vast majority of our usage is in the linear space. So while we do have AVOD and we see a growing interest and engagement across all of our VOD library, both TV series and movies, there's still a lot of discovery, or the majority of the discovery, I should say, comes through linear. So being able to take that movie library from Sony, or those pay one movies that the deal we announced with Lionsgate at the beginning of this year, and being able to not only make those available on our platform as VOD, but also make them available in a linear channel,
Yeah.
helps with discovery and usage. And so you're right. By and large, the house channels, as we call them, are genre specific, to be able to categorize the content that we have coming in from these distributors.
And your strategy with those channels, have you come up with those based on kind of data that you've received, or is it purely because you've got distributors that you have good relationships with and they've said, let's try this, and you've put it together and experimented? How have you come up with what you've delivered and kind of the quantity?
Yeah, it really developed out of a need from the audience to be able to see those specific genres. So while we have one overarching movie channel, for example, free
Mhm.
movies, Xumo free movies, most of them are categorized by action, horror, comedy, etc. And that is really about discovery. If you're an audience, you say, I feel like watching some comedy tonight,
Yeah.
there it is, right? If you're an action fan, you can be assured that you're going to get action movies on the free action movies channel, right? So
Yeah.
so it really is about discovery and ease of use, going back to where we started with, around really connecting an audience to the content very quickly. And so
Yeah.
that's why we've broken them up by genres, and it gave us the ability, with the vast amount of content that we ingest and have inside our system, to be able to categorize those in a meaningful way.
Yeah. And I think, that's, and you obviously work with, lots of different distributors, but knowing that they can come to Xumo and work with you in different ways, whether they have a channel or just content, is helpful. Not all platforms have kind of the number of house channels, as you call it. So I think that's probably a great quality that you have in offering that flexibility and kind of variation in how you work together.
Yeah, and it also allows us to license exclusive content, as we've
Right.
done. And so our house channels are actually distributed on third-party platforms as well.
Okay.
So we syndicate out our house channels for further reach. And the way we're able to do that is because these channels contain content that is not available on the other. By and large, a lot of fast platforms carry, and Xumo is no different, carry the same channels, whether it be NBC News Now or
Yeah.
Little House on the Prairie or any of these types of channels. And so this actually gives us a way to differentiate the content on our platform as well.
Yeah, great. Um, we've mentioned, or you've mentioned, discovery a few times. It's kind of so important to fast channels. I was at the kind of Connected TV World Summit in London this week, and there were lots of panel sessions. And someone asked the question, "Okay, what's more important? Is it the actual content, or is it the is it the position it is on the EPG when it comes to fast?" And pretty much everyone said, "Okay, actually, it's discoverability."
That's
um,
funny.
how Obviously you've got your house channels, and I imagine you give them a privileged position, but how do you tackle EPG numbering and content promotion? How are you deciding which channels you want to place where?
Yeah. Well, first, I would like to say if I was sitting on that panel, I would have said content because if you drive an audience just to drive an audience and the content isn't good, they're going to disappear and not come back.
Yeah.
So, but you are correct. It is a lot of positioning and merchandising on the platform. We don't have channel numbers on our platform, so we're organized by genre, and
Okay.
even within those genres, we are moving the channels around based on usage, based on time of day, based on what works for the vast majority of people using the platform at any given time. So there is a bit of an algorithm to surface the most popular, the most relevant content at any given time, and so that allows us to really drive more discovery. And then through the placements within Xumo Play, whether it's hero units or in-grid advertising, we're able to move the audience around to discover new content or content they weren't aware was on the platform or new launches of channels. So we do heavily use our editorial tools
Mm.
to help promote discovery.
Yeah. And I guess you keep in sort of as much contact as you can with your content suppliers about what's working and how they can kind of work with you to promote their channel.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we encourage all of our programmers and third party channel providers to give us their editorial tent poles, their new
Yeah.
premieres, their new editions of a new season of a show has been added to the channel, or there's a Mother's Day special or Valentine's Day special or something, that makes sense across the platform. We work really closely with our content partners to help promote that and build collections of channels to promote within those editorial tent poles as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously you've been part of this kind of, it's not new anymore, but kind of new distribution outlet since the beginning. And another theme that actually came up at the summit, I think it was ZDF Studios, who said, typically they sold content. We don't sell content anymore; we sell a product. So these kind of traditional distributors are now involved in building channels and kind of all the things they have to do around that, like editorial, marketing, scheduling. Have these guys, not specifically talking about that company, but
Right.
from your perspective, being involved right at the beginning, are they doing a good job at pivoting their business from being kind of distribution to kind of product based companies, and being able to really do well with those channels, considering that's kind of not their bread and butter, as we would say.
Yeah. Um, some better than others.
Yeah,
But by and large, the studios that are now jumping into this and thinking about this, and some have been at it for a while now,
yeah,
um, are are really taking that into consideration and taking the audience into consideration. And you see, studios like Lionsgate with their Movie Sphere channel really working within their own rights profile and building micro windows of very successful movie franchises into their movie channel. So it's not just what hasn't sold or what's sitting on a shelf. Another example would be NBCU Universal. Um, they traditionally licensed, asset by asset. They now have a portfolio of fast channels that are widely distributed and doing very well. And uh, and in the growth, they've been leaning in and releasing newer and newer content. So, you know, the newest channel from them is a Law and Order channel, which is a widely popular and series
Yeah.
which has never been available on for free. You've always had to have it in sort of channel syndication or on cable, right? And so, what they have over maybe some of the traditional, right? But that's how old we are. We have traditional fast providers that are really good at programming their channel and
Yeah.
and
It's
thinking
early
through,
adopters, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
the early adopters that thinking through refreshes.
Yeah.
Now with the studios playing catch up, they have the quality of content. And so what you see in the fast world and landscape today is just an abundance of quality programming coming in that maybe before was limited to, original digital providers.
Mm, mm. And I guess it continues to evolve, doesn't it? I think we see in the news regularly how some of these kind of traditional players, the big studios, the big independents, are restructuring their business to optimize what they do to work with platforms like you. So I guess we're only going to see kind of increased improvements.
I agree.
Exciting times. You mentioned international. Sky in the UK and in Canada. Can you just briefly explain what your proposition is in those territories, and any other plans there may be for international activity?
Yeah. So from a direct to consumer standpoint, Sky made sense as a Comcast company to sort of experiment with fast. We built a unique proposition there where the channels, a select number of channels, are not just inside the app, but also live inside the EPG of Sky Stream. And so there's a way of starting to introduce more content. And in the US, we've been doing this for a while. On our B2B enterprise side, we provide the fast channels that live inside a traditional cable guide on X1, for example. And so
Yeah.
this was really an extension of what we do with MVPDs here in the US to
Yeah.
extend to Sky. And that would be the same in Canada with Rogers. So Rogers Communication has a um, fast offering inside their traditional EPG, but we also have Xumo Play available for the wider selection of content. And so those have been sort of both a combination of our enterprise business and our direct to consumer business sort of coming together to just provide the best experience for a customer. I think we're evaluating the international
Mm.
territory to see where there are other opportunities. But meanwhile, on our enterprise side, we're widely distributing channels across Europe, Latin America, et cetera. And that's really through our partnerships with our content partners to make sure their content is available on Samsung TV Plus, LG channels, Rakuten, Titan OS, whatever it may be. So that continues to be where we play internationally more in the B2B services.
Yeah, nice. Are you able to talk to any of the findings from the Sky partnership, for example, specifically sort of placing the channels in the EPG?
I think it goes back to what a lot of this discussion has been around is discovery, right? And so it's
Mhm.
another placement for discovery. It's another opportunity to get a customer into content very quickly, and maybe content they're not normally used to seeing alongside that. So I think that's super helpful, and it it also begins to sort of um, it begins to sort of democratize the content, right? So where you had this, and we see this in the US on X1 as well, where you may have only been used to all these pay channels um, that 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 you're subscribed to. Now all of a sudden you have access to all the free channels as well, and it's another place of discovery. Sure, they're also available inside the Xumo Play app, but for a customer that's used to scrolling in a traditional EPG of cable, they now have access to all of this content as well. And so again, it's really trying to be the best at putting content in front of customers where they are and where they're transacting. And what we in terms of learnings, what we've seen is it it doesn't cannibalize, right? The fast
Mm.
channels aren't necessarily cannibalizing a pay TV customer. It's just additive, and the free channels being part of the pay ecosystem haven't cannibalized the free side on Xumo Play. So it's all been additive to date.
Yeah, got you. Okay. So we've covered quite a lot on the kind of programming side. Now, just started with Sky, for example, to look at kind of the distribution strategy for Xumo Play. What platforms, kind of outside your own ecosystem, are you seeing the most growth from in terms of viewership?
Yeah. So we have been widely distributed since day one. And obviously a lot of those platforms have started their own fast
Yes.
services in the meantime, right? So it's always very competitive. I think that we work really well with all of the platforms, whether it be Amazon or Roku or Samsung TV Plus. Um, to make sure that they understand the unique offering, whether it be in the house channels, whether it be
Mhm.
VOD library that we've licensed, to make sure that they know what content lives inside the app to drive that usage.
Mhm.
And so we've always had really good relationships across the third party platforms to do that. And because we are sort of one of the originals to be doing this in the space, they also lean on us for insights. What's working on our platform
Yeah.
that might work better on their platform. So it's a really symbiotic relationship with all of these, and the sort of usage increase is really just increasing across the board as people flood to free content.
Mm.
Specifically in the U.S., as you see sort of a slowdown in SVOD subscriptions, they have to find quality content in other places, and so you see this growth of fast.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said before, you've got the house channels as well that you syndicate, that you license to those platforms as well, which obviously helps, I guess, in the kind of marketing and promotion of your platform in a way as well. Um, all sounds rather friendly. It's like you should start some sort of fast forum, I guess.
You know what? It has been, and it's interesting that you say that. I think of it that way.
No.
I really do, and we're all trying to, while we've been around for 10 plus years now. Um, there's newer entrants into this industry. There's people that are growing faster than others, but all of us are just trying to figure out how it works
Yeah.
and how we can best grow the audience, because at the end of the day this is ad supported, and
Mm.
so scale is the name of the game. So trying to sort of, you know put a walled garden together and kind of limit the ability to get to customers, or try to be competitive with people, only limits audience. And so for this industry to work, it has to have scale to service the advertisers.
Yeah. You don't see any sort of consolidation happening within the fast space then anytime soon?
I think there's consolidations in that, 24/7 channel is hard to program and
Yeah.
hard to feed the beast to continue it. And so you do see some consolidation in terms of people being able to support some of these channels. We look at the quality of performance of these channels and often will sunset channels based on performance. On the channel side, there's consolidation and there's coming and going based on usage and sort of being able to connect to get that scale from an audience.
Mm.
On the platform side, I think the platforms themselves that have distribution, right? To talk about the Xumo device business and how we're natively integrated, or how we talked about the Sky integration. Those help build discovery, help build scale. I think where it becomes really challenged is if you're a new app that's trying to just survive alongside all of these other more established platforms that have platforms.
Yeah, that have some relationship to an OS, for example. Yeah. Great. Well, let's try and wrap it up with one question, I guess. What are you kind of most excited about in kind of Xumo's plans for the year ahead? What's coming?
Yeah. So you asked for one thing, but I'll sort of give you three.
That's fine.
I can't stop talking. So one would just be, and we touched on this, is just the continued growth of quality of content.
Mm-hmm.
So we work very closely with the studios, with the channel distributors, and with all of our partners. And the quality that's coming into the FAST space for audiences just continues to grow. And so I think we'll see more of that throughout this year. We're a month away from live coverage of the NFL draft on FAST, right? So this is all really good content that is available for free. So content quality would be one. The second would be for Xumo specifically, the quality of our product and our product experience. We talked a little bit about discovery and merchandising placements, and our product is continuing to evolve to make sure that we are getting the right content in front of the right people at the right time. And so the second half of this year, you'll see evolution in the product on our direct to consumer app. And that's always an ongoing basis. We're always looking at that. But I think I'm excited to see how we continue to evolve that. And the third would be on the advertising side. With quality content and good discovery comes higher quality advertisers, and being able to sort of measure and attach audiences to the content and the experience that we have on Xumo Play is just driving further and further interest in the advertising community. And I think you will start to see the advertising across this, evolve from just straight programmatic and whatever can get served into more higher level sponsorships, more integrated brand presence, and direct relationships. So I'm very excited to see how that continues to grow.
Yeah, great stuff. We'll certainly be watching. Thank you so much, Stefan, for joining
having
us.
me. This was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I could continue with the questions, but I'm very aware of the time we've taken. So please do come on again. Would love to have you. But yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Content, the TV industry podcast brought to you by 3Vision. With decades of TV industry experience and real-world success, we know the ins and outs of the market like nobody else. To learn more about our TV consultancy services, head to 3vision.tv.